I'm looking to win the Double Speak Award given by the National Council of Teachers because, as Dan Quayle would say, the only thing we have to fear about failure is not succeeding, or something like that. Well, here on VH1, we don't have to worry about either one of those things because, simply put, we play the greatest hits of music video. From folks like Eddie Money, Madonna, Till Tuesday, and Quincy Jones, Bruce Hornsby and the Range with Sean Colvin, Whitney Houston and James Ingram. Okay, but first, here's Painful Insect Bite. Oh, Sting.
Today, VH1 Superstar Week begins with Billy Joel. From early morning to early afternoon, spend 7 hours with the Piano Man. Billy Joel's one of our Superstar Week, today only on VH1.
Guess who's next? It's Billy Joel, and She's Got Away, of course.
From Billy Joel to Billy Joel. VH1, the greatest hits of music video.
Good Night Saigon, My Life, You May Be Right, Down Easter Alexa, The Longest Time, Keeping the Faith, and Piano Man. They're all Billy Joel hits, and they're all coming up this hour in a morning full of hours dedicated solely to Billy Joel. We'll get things going here with Uptown Girl.
From Tina Turner to Tina Turner. VH1, the greatest hits of music video.
The Longest Time from this morning's spotlighted superstar Billy Joel is next on VH1. First, last, and always.
Andrew Daddo back again as the stopless music continues. We've got Damn Yankees, Janet Jackson, Bart Simpson, Winger, Living Colour, and this is MC Hammer. Here he comes.
Once we got through that first album and got on to the second one, then things started to gel and take shape, and I relaxed a little bit, realizing that I could actually do it with his help.
Did you hope to achieve certain things on your own that you couldn't do with the Eagles?
Well, yeah, there's certainly a lot more freedom to write songs about whatever you want to write about, and stylistically you can do any kind of style, because you can hire musicians, you know, you have your pick of virtually everybody, whereas in the Eagles we tried to keep everything within the framework of the musicians that we had. And we tried to balance the songwriting and the singing as much as we could, you know, between the members of the group. Okay, you sing a couple, you sing this one, we'll write one for you. So it freed me up a great deal to explore more avenues and take chances, you know, to explore jazz and more rhythm and blues and classical music and everything. I like that part of it.
He also liked having a hit on his own, which he did with Dirty Laundry, the third single off his first solo album. And he particularly liked the fact that it was actually about something. In fact, the song focused on one of Henley's pet peeves.
I'm a news junkie. I watch the news a lot. Local news, national news. And I got tired of seeing these talking heads, you know, up there, stripping people of their dignity. I got tired of the sensationalism of the death of certain celebrities. You know, John Belushi, Natalie Wood, Marilyn Monroe, Elvis. You know, I just got sick of reporters running up to some grieving Mexican woman down in the barrio whose child had just gotten shot in a gang fight and saying, "How do you feel about that?" You know? I mean, that is the most absurd question, you know, you could ask. And So I decided to write a song about it. Oddly enough, for Dirty Laundry, I got a lot of complimentary letters from the media. In fact, the Washington Press Corps made a video to Dirty Laundry for their convention that they have in Washington, I believe, and they made a nice video spoofing themselves to that song. And it was very funny that they sent me a copy of it. I have it. It's one of my treasured possessions.
Along with Henley's solo hits came the necessity to make solo videos, not one of his favorite pastimes.
Yeah, you guys are costing me a fortune.
I mean, were you really reluctant to get involved in this? Obviously,
Yeah.
you didn't have much choice.
Not only did I have to go out from behind the drums and be out front, I had to be on camera too, you know. I had to become an actor all of a sudden, you know, and it was this double punch, you know. Like, okay, be a personality now.
For a guy who's not all that wild about making them, it's ironic that Henley, or at least his director, Jean-Baptiste Mondino, should have come up with one of the most stylishly haunting clips of the video age.
And the winner for Best Video of the Year is Don Henley.
I have to confess that I had very little to do with this video. They strapped me to the back of a truck and drove me around LA in the freezing cold, and I grimaced into the camera. I'm gonna love you.
I think I will always want to make records of some kind, but I'd like to do an album of classics or old blues songs from the 40s or something like that. You know, I would like to sing some stuff that I didn't write. You know, I see people like Frank Sinatra, who was more or less the rock and roll star of his day and age, and he's still out there doing it. People still come to see him. People like Ray Charles. I think if you do something good, something that has a quality and a timelessness and has a lasting value, then you can stick around for a while.
After 2 decades of hits, Don Henley has all the material rewards that pop stardom can confer. But he sees himself as more than just another rich rock star. Henley wants to engage with life, to be a part of his time and the issues of his age.
I grew up in the country in a very rural area, and I attribute a lot of it to simply the environment I was brought up in. It was very woodsy. You know, I played outdoors in the woods, around ponds and lakes, and did the stuff that little boys do, you know, caught frogs and tadpoles and grasshoppers and snakes and brought them home to my mother, and stuff like that. And my father has a great deal to do with it as well. He liked to grow things, you know. He farmed part-time, not for a living, but just simply for the enjoyment of it.
I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter.
The real benefit that you get from Farm Aid is more publicity, I think, than anything, just to keep it before the public eye. The upshot of all this, again, is not only that we're seeing the disappearance of small farms and family farms, but that farming is going to become an industry that is in the hands of a very few people. It's going to become agribusiness. And that's not what democracy is all about. I don't really think we can raise enough money with one concert to do much good, but we have to keep this issue in front of the public because it's just as bad now or worse than it ever was. You know, I mean, most people think the food is grown in the back of the supermarket, I guess. They don't really think about where it comes from or what goes into the growing of this food. We just like to eat it, and we don't really think about it beyond that, because people, if you don't grow up in the country, you can't really have a whole lot of appreciation for it. I mean, people who grow up in concrete cities don't really know what that way of life is all about, you know. They go, oh yeah, it's a tree, that's nice. So I think it will foster a certain kind of ignorance about the environment and about a certain way of life, about working with your hands and working on the land and living in a clean environment. And that part of it is what disturbs me a great deal. I read Walden about 25 years ago, and it moved me a great deal. Henry David Thoreau has had a great effect on me, as well as Emerson. And you always think of it, you know it's a real place, but on the other hand, you grow up and you assume that it's there and that it's okay. You know, I mean, you just don't give it any thought. And when I heard that it was in danger of being developed, I got upset because Thoreau is virtually the father of the environmental movement. I mean, he invented the conservation movement right there in Walden Woods. That's where he did all his thinking and a lot of his writing. And he is the father of modern environmentalism as we know it.
And if we can preserve the battlefield at Gettysburg, if we can preserve the dunes at Cape Cod Seashore, if we can preserve the grounds on Mount Vernon, then I think surely we can preserve Walden Woods. And I hope that you support us in this effort. We have a big task ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Henley's offstage preoccupation with personal issues and social situations is reflected in the videos he makes. Henley's songs are filled with fervent observations on his life and times, but his literate opinions are too numerous to be served only by songwriting.
I think the media has absolutely gotten worse. We get a lot of news, but we don't get much analysis of it. You know, we don't get much intelligent analysis of it. And that's a shame. When you see what's on television, you would think that they could make a little more time for some analysis and debate and concerning the news. Sensationalism sells, you know, and the excuse is, well, people want this stuff. Well, why in the hell do we have to give people what they want? Why don't we give them what they need once in a while, you know? Why don't we give them some vitamins and less, you know, it's all calories and no vitamins, you know, it's fast food for the mind. And consequently, the entire attention span of America is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, we're used to sound bites and video bites, and that's not a good thing. I really don't think it's a healthy thing. I think Reagan gave license for a lot of things. I think Reagan created the climate in this country that is now producing all the racism that we see. I think it created the climate of corporate laissez-faire and greed, and, you know, threw out a lot of the rules. Created the climate whereby the environment could be wrecked a little more than it already was at a faster rate. Damaged this educational system. I could go on, but why bother? Going to be one of the most popular presidents we ever had. Trying to put him on Mount Rushmore, you figure it out. Only in this country, only in America could we elect an actor for president. Now, if that doesn't say something about this society, I don't know what does. There is a great hunger for spirituality in this country these days, and then people are turning to just about anything, you know, anything from crystals to Elvis, you know. And it's kind of disappointing. I deal with that subject a lot on the album, too. I wish people wouldn't be such sheep. I wish they would think for themselves more. I wish they wouldn't idolize rock and roll stars and movie stars and preachers and politicians quite as much as they do. I wish people would. There was an interesting quote in the paper the other day. Some gentleman who was at Huey Newton's funeral said the time for heroes is past, and it's time for people to realize that it's up to us as individuals to change our lives. And I think that's right on the money. I have succeeded beyond my wildest dreams and expectations. I've been very fortunate. It's a great job, you know. It's really great. It carries with it a great deal of responsibility, or I feel responsibility anyway. Maybe some people don't. But I really feel responsible for what I do and what I say. I don't like the public figure part. That's the part of it I really don't like the most. Writing songs, having a hit record is great. Getting a Grammy is great. You know, you get good tables for another couple of years.
I think a lot of us, those of us who have survived, are making really good music. I mean, a lot of us went through a difficult transitional period between the late 70s and the early 80s. And those of us who have come out of that now are doing very well, and that makes me happy. There's no reason why you have to stop doing this, you know. We don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing.
And that's it for our Don Henley rockumentary. Of course, in conjunction with the rockumentary, we always bring you a half-hour video collection. Oh, by the way, next week's rockumentary will be Def Leppard. Tonight, we'll bring you the Don Henley video collection, Heart of the Matter, coming up, Boys of Summer, lots more. Kicking off, though, with a title track from Don's recent album.